Kitty, you got me on audio?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. What you think of my hurry up? I got like 5 minutes to make these.
You did pretty good, baby. You really did. Um,
We got this one. We got smoke break. Figured I can maybe try that one up there. And here, I just made this one too, which I had a little fun with this one.
Heck yeah.
Three, two, one, boom. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's up, everybody? Hope everyone's doing good tonight. What's up, Georgia? How you doing,
Hey,
bud?
Georgia.
Thanks for coming
Uh,
in, man.
Absolutely. If you're new to our channel, we always like to lift up other people. That includes small business owners, independent business owners. That includes independent artists, and that includes a comedian that's trying to make it. Georgia
What's up,
Redneck,
just
he
doing?
is. Hey, just doing. We also like to lift up other podcasts. If you hear us give a shout out, that's why. If you are interested in having us just kind of promote your business, or if you're an artist with integrity, we will definitely promote you. Georgia Redneck is in the chat. He has done music before with country rap and hip hop. I will put his link right there in the live chat. Just doing excellent podcast. They are some deep thinking dudes, and it's a totally chill podcast. So y'all be sure to check them out. I will also put their link in the chat as well.
Heck yeah. So how's everyone's week been so far? Man, it's been hot and been fucking crazy around here. I know I'm gonna forget to fucking take that down, even though it's right in front of my fucking face. Kitty, if I leave that up there too long, just let me know, like, hey, turn it off.
Will do.
But yeah, I have actually haven't really seen a whole lot of drama. I'm sure there has been, but I like it. I like it. Maybe everyone's gonna be calming down, chilling the fuck out lately. So, we got tonight's episode. It's binary. This is a big change for us as far as kind of topics. I know this seems really kind of random, maybe even. Anybody new watching, we talk about all kinds of shit. If you look through our podcast, you're going to see a lot of different topics. And if you continue to watch, you're going to see all kinds of more random shit. What's up, Carter? How you doing, man?
Hey Carter, how you doing?
But the reason I wanted to do tonight's episode is I am really tired of seeing, well, a few different things. I'm really tired of seeing these commercials for like Norton and LifeLock and these big companies charging out the ass for your privacy, for your safety online, for your safety of your data, your information, all that. And, I'm tired of, like, I'm tired of seeing so many people intimidated by something that has become so common. Like, and I'm kind of go into why I believe people are so intimidated. I think it's on purpose, but yes, it has been a long day. Yes, it has, man. But so for me, I kind of grew up. I grew up in the country, so I know how to work with my fucking hands, be outside, all that shit. But also, I grew up doing everything from working on vehicles and equipment to working on building circuits. I had when I was like, fuck, I don't remember, like 6 years old. I had my first like you know, little learning board for how to build circuits connecting different types of components together and shit. And then I got my bigger one, which actually had like breadboards, and I could build actually whatever the fuck I wanted with, and computers, man, how to fucking write software and do all kinds of shit. Very eclectic family for sure. But it's just
So let me sum that up, you guys, for somebody that does not think like he does. So in an apocalypse, you guys, I got myself a nerdy redneck. So that means when shit goes down, you guys, you can count on him. He can pull his own weight. He can even pull some of mine. Okay. Because I don't know a whole bunch of shit he does, and I'm learning from him. Right. But not just that, you got a nerdy one. So if you need machinery or any kind of anything done, like hacking, broadcast systems, stuff like that, that's your man right there. Okay? All
oh
right.
yeah, like fucking I grew up with like old ham radios and shit, man. Like, hell yeah. But oh, and by the way, guys, so yeah, I may have like the technical kind of aspect of this, but Kitty and of course all you guys in the chat, anybody who's not familiar with computers or anything at all, you guys will be the layman's, so please, if anything, I'm gonna try to explain everything in the most, using analogies in the most simplest way I can. But if anything doesn't make sense, and that's what I like having Kitty on the other side of this, is she can kind of be like, hey, hold on, what does that mean? Or that doesn't make sense. I'm not following you, whatever. So, but that kind of
Okay,
helps me
hold
learn
on.
how to break it down more.
We missed their podcast last night, baby. I'm
What?
sorry, you guys, dudes. Okay, I'm so sorry. I was trying to look
What?
for it. I
Church
looked up.
was on there.
I
Oh
looked.
shit.
I looked for it on YouTube earlier in the day. I've just kind of not been in the social media like head space, I guess. So I took off yesterday and today from social media. I cannot believe I missed it. I'm so sorry, guys. We try to make every episode, but that's
Yeah.
awesome. We will definitely be doing replaying.
Oh fuck yeah, for sure. Man, you got
Heck
Twitter. Hell
yeah,
yeah.
that's
That's
awesome, you
awesome.
guys. That is
Fuck yeah.
amazing. Heck yeah.
And Carter, yeah, man, me too. I am a jack of many trades and master of not a single motherfucking one. So I feel you, man. I feel you. But where was that, Kitty?
You were saying basically the reason why I'm on here with you. I don't know about this stuff, but
Oh yeah,
there's a positive side of this because I'm the type of person you have to explain it to me like I'm five with stuff I'm not interested in. And no offense, baby, I love you, but this stuff does not interest me.
but like I've explained to you so many times, it's so important to know
It is.
not necessarily like how to like write software and shit, but to at least know, hey, this is how to protect myself and my data and my identity and shit like that. And sometimes it takes a mild understanding of the basics to really understand how to protect yourself. It's like, yeah, you may know how to shoot a gun and you may be a kill shot, but what if that gun jams and you don't know how to unjam it? What if you don't know how to clean it and maintain it so it keeps firing? You have to know the
Right.
inner workings of that weapon. Same with a computer, you have to know at least a little bit about the inner workings of it. But, um, bone trash. I can't help that one.
Oh my gosh, these dudes are cracking me up over here.
Oh, yeah, you're mechanical. Hell yeah. That's fun as hell having you guys in here. Hell yeah. So, like I said, if anybody has any questions, anything, let me know. If I need to slow down, let me know. So, um, my biggest thing, and I made a post about this the other day, is open source software. So, to anybody who doesn't know what that means exactly, is basically it's like the independent music of software. So you have like your corporate software, which Microsoft, Windows, all of that shit, Apple, iPhone, iOS, all that. And then you have your open source software like, Mozilla, web browser, or um, what's another common one that somebody might know? OBS Studio, I think, is even an open source as well. A lot of streamers may know that one. But the whole point of open source is that everybody has access to the source code, which is basically the instruction set of what the program does when you tell it to do something. It knows, okay, do this. But open source is where everybody can view that code and they can either fork it, which is called forking, where they take that and basically build upon it and make their own version or what they call a flavor of it. They can audit it if it's, say, like an antivirus.
By the
Clam
way, good to
AV.
see you, Jan.
Hey, what's up, Jan? Um, like Clam AV antivirus, that's a security software. That's meant to keep your computer safe, protected from viruses, all of that. People can go in and audit it and see, okay, this is what it's doing. It's not sniffing for my data. It's not, they can go and look and see what ports on the computer are being used to communicate outside of that computer. It can say what information is being sent through. You can see, is it, behind the scenes pushing information to somebody who they shouldn't have access to your computer. And that can happen with a lot of software. A lot of people will Google, like, hey, I need a software, or what they call now an app for this. So they'll just Google something, download it, install it, boom, hey, it works, does what I need. Okay, well, what's it doing behind the scenes that you're not seeing? Is it feeding, every password you type to somebody on the somewhere in the internet? Is it recording your face? Is it running, facial data back to a server for analysis?
Right.
There's all kinds of shit that can be going on your computer that you do not know about. And the stronger and more powerful our hardware, our computers get, our phones, everything, the more malicious shit that can be done, because there's more complexities to how the user interface and everything works, what goes on behind the scenes. I mean, our phones used to be, you punch in a number and it dials out. That was it. Very simple, circuitry, very simple everything. Now, I mean, we can watch videos, we can make videos, we can play Angry Birds, all this shit. That takes more complex hardware, more complex software, more. Imagine a room full of more cables or more wires. If you just have a room with one wire, okay, well, this isn't working. Wire must be broken. But you got 50,000 wires in the room. That's a lot of places a broken wire can be hiding. I think that would be a good analogy for that. But so open source, is valuable to those who, value safety, because even say the average user is like, hey, I need software here. I don't know anything about how to audit this and see if it's legit or not, but there are these freelancers out there who do this for a living and on the side, contribute to this community, this software community, and they audit this, and they'll even have logs to where they can go in and report problems for people, like, say, they can troubleshoot interface problems, but they say, hey, I did find an issue over here where there's a data leak, some way a hacker could possibly get this information, that should be private. They can send that to somebody who has knowledge in that part of the code and can go in and fix it. So there's a whole community of people backing each other up, and it's almost like a checks and balance system. Corporate software, also known as closed source software, you can't do that. It's locked down, it's owned by a company, it's property of a company, like Windows, Microsoft Windows. And Kitty, am I making sense? Is this?
Yeah, it's making sense so far. Chat, if it's not making sense, let us know. Carter has mentioned that they got their own great spyware. I'm like,
Heck
okay,
yeah. That's
yeah,
good. That's good.
Yeah. So, um, but yeah. So, what about certain brand names? Like, what would your recommendations be, like for spyware?
I'll get to that. Yeah, I'll
Okay.
definitely get to that.
Okay.
So what I was gonna say, and here's the kicker that I'm definitely gonna call this the cold open here. Microsoft Windows. Everybody, everybody's, probably at least once in their life had a computer that ran it. If not, you're probably using the Mac. Maybe 10% of the people now are using something else. Microsoft Windows is the only, is as an operating system, has the absolute most security holes, has the absolute most complex patch system where they go in and fix these security holes, fix them. They have the largest,
Imagine that.
exactly, they have the
Uh
largest
huh.
community for people trying to what they call pin test it, which where they try to penetrate the system and get in so that they know, okay, we need to go in and close this. This is the way around. We need to close off this, this route. All of this, and they still have the most fucking security holes. The majority of the viruses, malware, spyware, whatever type of ware out there, about 90% of it is for Windows. Why? Because it's so fucking easy. Windows is easy.
Huh.
And guess what? What does our government run? For I don't know necessarily right now, but I know at least 10 years ago it was all IBM hardware and all Microsoft software.
Ah.
And what did Microsoft do? They were the first big corporation to release their own framework to make it easier for people to write software. Anybody can write software on Windows. They've made it so easy with Visual Basic and stuff. Back in the day, it was just basic. It was already easy. Now they've made it object oriented, which I won't get into that, but anybody can make software stupid easy with
And he
all
was one of the
copy and paste.
founders of Microsoft.
The founder, Bill motherfucking Gates.
Well, it lists two. It says the other one's Paul Allen.
Paul Allen.
Does
See,
that
I
ring
don't
a
ever
bell?
remember him ever really getting credit for that. I really don't.
He died in 2018.
Huh.
Anyway, that's what they're saying. Anyway,
I don't
sorry.
even, that name doesn't even sound familiar. That's weird. Not at all.
Huh.
Yeah, he must have been kept real silent then.
Right. No, but
Oh,
Bill Gates,
McAfee.
right?
Yeah, just doing y'all use McAfee. Ooh, man, be careful with that. That is
That's what I used
not
to have
that's
on
closed
mine, babe.
source. Yeah, that's closed source. And I'm not saying all closed source is bad, guys. I'm just saying I don't trust anybody who won't let me check them. I don't trust anybody who doesn't allow me to see how are you protecting me. It's to me that's like hiring a security guard who says, "Don't worry, you just let me handle everything." No, you work for me. I want to know what your plan is, how you're going to act and react, all of that. That's just me, guys. If y'all feel comfortable and have good luck with it, hell yeah. But
These dudes are cracking me up in the chat, baby.
what is going on? I'm lost here. Same stuff it has. Can't tell you. I'm just kidding, guys. Ain't nothing special. I don't know about software, hardware, but I got lots of underwear. I gotta post that one. That one's just fucking funny.
Yes,
Hell
yes,
yeah.
you gotta post that one. Yes.
Where am I at here? There we go.
Dude, that's where I'm at with all this stuff. I don't know. I'm like, babe, here. Um, yeah, just set up the computer, babe. I know you're very particular. Oh my gosh, whenever I worked from home, guys,
Oh yeah. Okay. Here. You
that
you give the backstory of this, and I'll go into why I had such a problem with that.
okay. Well, which part did you have? Okay, so anyway, I got a job, and I'm not going to say the name of the company. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'cause I worked from home. All right, but I will say it is basically, 'c kind of in the medical field. Basically, prescriptions being delivered to homes. And I got the computer and everything, and he made sure that all of it was on a separate line. I'm putting this in the most layman terms as I understand them. So to make sure that they weren't on the same server as our home server. And I'm like, babe, what does it matter? He's like, they could see everything and we don't do anything wrong. It's just a matter of like, we like for our stuff to be private. You never know if you get somebody looking at anything and they can see our bank account and stuff. I'm like, okay, all right. So he puts everything on a different line, and that took like what? How long did that take? That took a couple of days because you were trying to figure out how to get it on a different server,
Well, no, I had
and
to wait
split the
for parts
line.
too. I had to wait on
Yeah,
parts too.
split the line. He had to split it.
So
Anyways, we finally got that done. And after a while of working there, I was having some technical issues with my computer and with the tower specifically and the phone. And they were like, oh, well, do this, do that, do this, do that. And I did that. There were a couple of days where I actually had to miss work because they couldn't get my computer to work because whenever you do it, you have to call their 1-800 tech line. You don't have somebody coming to your home. You have to do it all by phone. So I missed a couple of days work already. And the last person I talked to was like, hey, it's your firewall. You remember that, babe?
no, that's my motherfucking problem. They were like, you need to turn off your firewall.
Uh-huh.
Bullshit. That's like saying you need to leave your door unlocked.
Uh-huh.
No. Why?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Like
And my concern was not just us, but all of those patients' names, date of births,
names, everything.
addresses, their physical allergies. That is out there on the open. That is big time negligence. That is
Because they're
big time
telling people to turn off their
unethical.
firewalls. Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
it's
And not only
crazy.
that, but
A corporation told me to do that, guys.
think of how many employees actually listened and did that. And
Mm,
how much all of their private data is just wide open for anybody in the fucking world to see. Bank account information, family pictures. Hell, dude, how do you think nude pics get leaked? People being dumb about shit. Dude, what if they have like nude pictures on their phone? All that shit's going out on the internet. That ain't ever coming, like, getting off. So,
hmm
like, that's basically what they're saying. Like just leave your door open, let whoever the fuck you want come in your house, take what they want, and leave. That's
hmm
basically more or less what they said. But no, they also said that they had, if you looked at the not contract but guidelines or whatever, they basically stated too, we reserve the right to sniff your network, which to
That
sniff a
was the other
network
thing.
means basically to scan, see what other devices are connected to your network, and all this, as well as monitor your network traffic. They have no fucking right to do that. That is your private data. That is no different than opening someone else's mail. That is a
And
fucking privacy
get
issue.
tell them about how you figured out they were doing it at night when I was off of work and they were closed.
Oh, yeah,
Tell them
so
about that. Tell them about how you figured that out.
I just looked at the logs. There was data being transmitted from little that
It
little
was like a
router.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was basically their own like sub router that they had. But it was transmitting data in and out all night long, and it was trying to find other devices on the network and sniff the network. And that's
Um,
why I isolated it. I basically split the network and I made a separate network that was completely isolated, didn't even know our actual network existed, didn't know how to communicate with it, anything. So as far as it knew, it was the only device connected to our network, and it was trying to find anything and everything else.
yeah, that was
Wow.
insane. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And this is what I'm
and
saying is, how many people just didn't know any better and turned their firewall off, and God knows what the repercussions of that were.
Right. And the day that that tech told me that, and he was a supervisor tech, mind you. He wasn't just some regular tech. He was like one of the top dudes. I emailed my boss. I said I have an issue with this, and here's my 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's an ethical issue, not just for us, but like other people's information.
Oh yeah. Like, is that a company that is trustworthy? They're not letting you, like giving you a reason to trust them. Why? Like, what about the patients, man? What are they doing to the
Exactly.
patients?
Exactly. And you get to also see what prescriptions they're taking,
Oh yeah.
you
I mean,
know?
dude, regardless of
No.
that, like, I had what was it? It was about 6, 7 years ago. I had a what do you call him? CPA. I went and did a board up for him, and I was like, I was asking, I was like, man, this is crazy. They broke into your office, like, you ain't got a cash box or anything in here. What the hell are they doing? He's like, going after people's files. I'm like, what do you mean people's files? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, no, like a single file in here, is worth, several $100,000 on the internet. Holy shit. Like, I guess he was doing some pretty valuable fucking people, some, what do you call it, net worth,
Clients,
high net worth,
yeah.
you know. But he's like, yeah, this
Mm.
goes for big money, people's identity, social security numbers, all that. So basically everyone knows what a black market is. If anybody's ever
Mhm.
heard of the dark web, and actually,
Stephanie, hey
what's
Steph.
up, Stephanie? How you doing
Good to
tonight?
see you, love.
But anybody who's ever heard of the dark web, there's actually different layers to it. But there are, I mean, people sell credit card numbers, people sell body parts, they sell all kinds of shit on there. I mean, it goes deeper and darker than that. And
Mhm.
not only that, but people are like, well, if it's so easy to access, why is nobody doing anything about it? Because the people who
Mhm.
run, nobody singularly runs the internet, but the people who run the dark web are honestly a lot more intelligent than the people who run the internet. They're a lot more concerned about their safety than anybody's concerned about our safety. They cover their tracks well, they use hidden languages. Everything's a code. If you don't know the language, you might think you're looking at something pretty benign, but really
Is
it's
there
it's sick.
so are you talking about the hidden language that Upchurch kind of talks about a little bit?
Even that, dude. I mean, that's
Oh, so
the
there's more
thing.
than one hidden language back on there.
Oh yeah, and dude, not only that, but
Oh.
you gotta think the dark web at this point is starting to spill out onto just our regular internet. So, I mean, like you remember that video when he was on was that Google Earth and he was like zooming in and you like I can't remember something about there was some weird lettering on the little retaining wall there. Like it
Right.
said something and he was going into the definition. I can't remember what exactly it was, but you know,
Right.
like man, even it's in even in Google Earth or Maps, whichever one that was. It's all around us, man. I mean, I guarantee you that when you're driving on the interstate and you see like graffiti on the bridge or whatever, dude, I swear I've seen some stuff that I'm like it was just so random. I'm like either somebody was on some really good drugs or that's code for something. It
Right.
could be for traffickers. Maybe some sort of marker, landmark, something. I don't know. All I know is there are those hidden languages because I have seen them. I used to dig into the dark web, just to try to understand it and what it was and everything. And dude, it is weird shit. It makes you feel uncomfortable. And, you know, dude, if anybody listens to some days, man, I swear, you dig too deep, you will get fucking like people outside your fucking window. I shit you fucking not, dude.
What?
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, if
Okay,
you do
so
not know how to cover your tracks, if you do
what?
not know how to protect yourself and stay anonymous, yes. If you
Okay.
start, if they think that you're digging into something, yes.
Okay, so question for you. All right. Have you had any of those weird experiences on the dark web, like where you felt like you were being followed, harassed in person, or threatened, or
Absolutely.
and you are
Absolutely.
savvy. Like you know how to cover yourself. It
Dude,
was it mistakes? Is that why?
dude, it's the people out there who monitor that kind of thing are much better than me. And dude, that's the thing, like,
So what were you trying to uncover whenever this happened to you?
oh, dude, I've gone on so many deep dives over shit, like, as far as whether it's conspiracy theories or just
Right.
looking in, like, there's one theory, and I'm kind of keeping this pretty tight-lipped because I really want to do a big episode on it. But I've always had fascination. I know most people have a fascination with the afterlife. Well, like, they want to know what happens after death. Me, and I'll go into the why. I've always had a deep fascination of before life. That's always been where my mind has like zoned in for answers too. I mean, I've gone deep dives from everything to cults to all kinds of shit, man. And, there's sometimes where, so basically an onion router is, everyone's heard of, like, the onion is a special connection that you make, and you can only access this part of the internet through this connection. Um, and I'll kind of explain how that works in a minute. But just exploring, just seeing what was out there. Like, what is this place that is so nefarious? What exists here? Some of it was just curiosity, but
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right.
and that's what I'm saying. It is scary. I don't advise anybody digging into it unless you are or somebody who can like walk you through it and help keep you safe. But like I said, man, there, you know, it's one of those things you never say you're the best because there's always somebody better than you out there at something.
Right. And in
So
that
never.
case, you kind of found it.
Oh yeah, and never
Yeah.
assume you're good enough to be protected. I mean, if you're gonna go into shit like that, you have to be fully aware and understand there's a great possibility that you know, somebody's gonna get onto you. You know.
Absolutely. I'm going to promote Stephanie real quick. You
Yeah, go
guys,
for it.
Stephanie, if you're new, but you like Upchurch, you're just kind of just checking out her channel. Stephanie also has a channel as well. She covers some stuff on country rap, mainly with stuff to do with Upchurch. She does have another channel where she does some gaming. It's pretty cool. But I'm going to put the one that we've got right here with her in chat. And Stephanie, since you're a moderator, if you want to go ahead and put your other channel link in there, I think I'm following both, but I don't want to cut Stoner Man off for too long. But you guys feel free to go check her out. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Stephanie is awesome. All you guys are awesome.
Absolutely.
But so I know I kind of hit everybody with a lot. So gotta run it back to some basics. So to anybody who doesn't know what the internet is, the internet is not a physical thing. It doesn't necessarily exist as an object. It is basically a hive mind, more or less. It is a network, a web of many different computers, all connected to each other and allowed to communicate. So to be on the internet basically means that your computer is connected and able to communicate with other computers. When you punch in a type, like click a link, or you punch in a URL, you go to youtube.com. Your computer is communicating with another computer, which is communicating to another computer, which is sending data back. Boom, you got a web page. More or less, that's how it works. So the general rule of thumb is the only one and only way to be absolutely safe on your computer, whether it's a smartphone, your desktop, laptop, whatever, your fucking TV, the only way to be 100% safe is to unplug it from the network. So if you have an Ethernet cable, unplug it. You have Wi-Fi, dude. You can't turn your Wi-Fi off and expect it to stay off. Believe me, don't ever trust turning your Wi-Fi off on your device. iPhones even will automatically try to turn it back on after a while and reconnect you. Turn off your fucking router, disconnect, your modem from the wall, whatever it is. That is the only way to be 100% safe.
So,
So,
okay, question.
go ahead, go ahead.
All right. So, my computer, this is why I unplug it every time we're done.
No,
Every time I'm done with it.
no, no. That's actually for surge protection.
Okay.
Yeah.
See,
So,
you guys, I'm like, I know very little about this stuff. I'm that type of person that, like, you give me a new program and I will figure out everything I can do to almost break it or get stuck on a computer. Anyway, go ahead, babe.
but yeah, and that is a good practice to turn it off. But when you have your phone and everything connected at all times, there's always something connected, always a chance for something to get through. But
So, with your phone, would you just turn it off then?
honestly, you can't even trust that because even now, your phone maintains a phantom power. If you say we use iPhones for example, so I used to do a lot of tech work on phones. I've been out of the Android game for a while. I don't know how that shit works necessarily anymore, but from an iPhone, if you go to like Find My and like say your phone dies or something, it will reserve enough power to continue to transmit a location signal for I can't remember how long it is, like 10 minutes or something like that. But even when your phone's off, you can still trace it. So therefore, it is getting phantom power. As long as it has phantom power and it can be sending a signal, it can be receiving a signal. So therefore, you anybody in the world can turn my phone on. Anybody, I can go in if I have the right information. I can go in and turn on anyone's computer, as long as it is connected to a power source. Doesn't have to be on, but connected to a power source. Ethernet cable or is plugged in, and the BIOS setting is flipped to where it will allow what's called a magic packet. The process is called wake on LAN. So, like, I can set it up to where I can be in Texas and I can turn my computer on right here at home from Texas using my phone.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
if somebody has the right information or knows how to bypass certain roadblocks, they can turn your computer on.
That's just crazy. Okay. So, another question for you. Back it up. You're
Yeah.
saying Microsoft has the most patches. So, would you get, like, I know what the answer to this is, but I'm kind of asking as a new person to this question. Let's say we get a computer, it already has Microsoft installed on there. Would you uninstall Microsoft and what program would you install?
Yes, and any flavor of Linux. Um,
Linux. I'm going to put that in
yeah,
the chat.
and there are other options. So your computer, when you turn it on, you basically have two layers. There's two different programs, more or less, that run. First off is your BIOS or your what is it, UEFI is what they have now. That basically is what is like deep in the hardware. It allows the computer to basically turn on all the peripherals, turn on the drives, get the fans going, all that good stuff, directs the power where it needs to go, and your operating system, whether it's Windows, Mac OS, Linux, whatever, takes it from there. So you can remove Windows and you can put on another operating system. So you can even do what's called a dual boot, where you can keep both. That way, if you say, hey, I need Windows for something because, work or whatever, okay, I can boot up into Windows, but when I'm on my personal time, I want to boot into something safer.
Right.
But once again, Linux is open source depending on the flavor you use. Majority of them are. There are a lot of them out there. I recommend looking for one of the ones who have the biggest community, because that community are the people who work to build it and make it better every day to use it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so Ubuntu, there's several different flavors of Ubuntu. Another big one is Arch Linux. Um, Red Hat went corporate, unfortunately. I think Mandriva did. What's another good one? Um, Fuck, I can't remember. It's another really popular one. Debian. That's the other one. Debian's another good one. That's gonna be a little more for advanced users, but if you are an advanced user, you'll pick it up like nothing.
Huh. So, another question for you. Um, Laptop, it would be the same way, right? Because I just told
Oh
Georgia
yeah.
that. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Like I said, I don't know. And what's so beneficial about this chat, dude? It's boring as hell to me. That's me. This is his thing. He can talk about this stuff for hours. He loves it. But these are really effective tools, you guys. I don't know if y'all saw what was it yesterday, 2 days ago, where what was it? Facebook, WhatsApp, and a few other apps had pretty much gotten hacked into with email addresses, accounts, passwords, everything. Like
Yep.
we're talking about millions and millions of people that happened to, and it could have been us. It could be us. It could be y'all. Who knows? Like whatever. So these are great things because I know all of y'all, at least the ones I see in chat, are country people, and country people like their privacy.
Oh yeah.
That includes online. That includes
Absolutely.
it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It's just that fuck no, nobody has a right to know that because that's my fucking right. You
Oh yeah.
know? So
Absolutely.
but yeah.
And you know, a good example too of this, um, like Church and his cameras, like how they were getting fucked with. That very well could have been like somebody there on his property, or that could have been somebody outside of his property. I don't know enough about the situation to determine that, but you know, guys, if you
So
have,
somebody can be outside of a property and able to do that?
oh yeah, if those cameras are connected to the internet, absolutely, absolutely.
Ah.
So, you know, like a lot of these, like say, you go and get a Real Link or what's now a Nest camera, what are some of the Ring, like your Ring doorbell, all
Mm-hmm.
that. They're all the cameras, and you can download the app, and you can be anywhere. You can be at work, at the store, whatever, and get a notification. Hey, someone's at your door. Okay, let me pull it up. Okay, I can see them. Here, I can talk to them. We're talking back and forth on the fucking doorbell. That's going through the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to, if like you're able to access your cameras outside of your home, yeah, that's going through the internet. And it's supposed to be encrypted and secure and all this, but once again, it's closed source. Do you actually fucking know that they're not watching your data? Do you actually know that they're actually keeping your data, that live stream of your front of your house or in your backyard or whatever, or inside your fucking house, safe? How do you know people aren't sitting there listening to your fucking conversations? Fucking look at Alexa and like HomePods by Apple. How
Oh my
people are
gosh.
like, it'll start talking in the middle of the night, or you know, it's turned like disabled, like voice controls disabled, and it's still responding to commands. You know, tell me that when you tell your HomePod, hey, turn off fucking voice activation, no Hey Siri shit on there, that it's actually gonna just stop listening to you because it was told to? Hell no. If they
Yeah,
wanted,
that's what
they
Georgia said earlier.
exactly. They
Hmm.
wanted to listen, they're gonna fucking listen.
Right. So
Like
I have a
our
story for
cameras are off of the internet. They are tunneled in such a way that, I mean, obviously nothing's 100% secure, but they're tunneled in such a way to where at least if somebody is fucking with it, I can go in and I may not know at that moment, but I can look at the logs, I can look at what IP addresses, where, what ports, were trying to communicate with the cameras were trying to communicate everything, and I can audit it and I can see, hey, somebody who isn't us is trying to access our shit, let's shut it down. You
Right.
can't do that when you just go buy a Ring camera, set it up, and download the app. You cannot do that.
Right. And you guys, I'm going to tell any of y'all in the chat right now, y'all ever have a question about this stuff, if y'all are more like me, and it may not be boring to you, just it's not your field of expertise. He's he's pretty well, I guess, versed. I don't know if that'd be the right terminology for this, but he knows his stuff on this stuff. Y'all have any questions that aren't answered on this show, or if you are thinking about changing over and you just like an opinion, um, on this from him, feel free to reach out to him on
Oh
IG.
yeah, yeah,
Stonerman on IG.
yeah, for sure, man. I'm all about privacy, guys. If there's anything I can do to help you guys stay private and keep your privacy, I'm all for it, man. You
Absolutely.
know that is, and that's the scary thing that we're about to get into is how not private we all, every one of us are.
Right.
So real quick, Kitty, you want to catch up on the chat real quick? Georgia, I did see he said always learn
Oh,
something new on y'all's live. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. We
that's
try, dude.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
hey, we learned from you too, man. You told us some cool shit. So
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. We are all learning from each other. It's awesome. Let's see. Told them we need something for editing videos to put on YouTube. Maybe Stoner Man knows about that. Let's see. Who are they? Is it the government or something? That's a good question. I feel like that should be put up there, babe. That last comment that Georgia had right there. Let's see here. Yeah, they are totally listening. I don't know who they is, but Big Brother. It's Big Brother, totally. Uh, I think I'm caught up, babe. So, and after you're done, because you've done your second little smoke break, I'm going. Okay, so I guess it's going to be a second. Uh, let's see. Did you hear me?
what'd you say?
I said that this is your second smoke break. I'm going now. It's my turn. And
Second, that's like my
actually,
fourth.
so last comment Georgia made, I really feel like you should put that up there.
Oh, I did. But so actually, I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, Georgia, just because you mentioned that about the government. So Obama, when he was in office, I don't know if anybody ever remembered hearing about net neutrality. So basically, with the whole net neutrality thing, what Obama did was he tried to, I guess you could say, materialize the internet. He tried to objectify it, make it something that could be controlled. Um, and, of course, with everything in the government, there's so much shit buried and all that. It's, to really know what all he did would take a lot of digging and a lot of legal knowledge and all of that. But more or less, he made the internet not only less private for companies and for people with companies, but he also made it to where the government has more, not necessarily control, but more insight, more surveillance over it. And it did lead into the whole censorship thing with not only Trump and social media, but with these chats like this, with people's comments, with these videos. This whole, oh, you can't say that, you're gonna get banned. It is the cancel culture of the internet is basically what he was laying the foundation for there. But you know, uh, I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. So there are these things called DNS servers. Basically, think of it like a phone book. So when you type in google.com, a computer doesn't know what to do with that, so it has to ask the DNS server. Basically, it's saying, hey, I need to call John Doe. I need to call Google. We'll call Google John Doe. I need to call John Doe. I need a phone number. So you go to the phone book, the DNS server. You say, okay, here's Google, John Doe. This is John Doe's phone number. This is Google's phone number. It's called an IP address. That's how computers communicate, is through IP addresses. Takes that address, which is unique to that server, and says, hey, I need to communicate with you. It does a bunch of, protocol stuff, and then boom, it has access. It knows, okay, this is the page I need to display. With that, the government has gained control, access to, at any point they feel necessary, to those DNS servers and their records. So say, you go to ammunitiondepot.com a lot, and the government says, okay, we've seen John Doe over here is buying a lot of guns. Well, let's look into him a little bit. They go to the DNS server, they say, hey, we need these DNS records for John Doe. They pull them, they say, oh, well, he's been buying a lot of guns, but he's also been going to Ammunition Depot. Look, he went at this date at this time, he went this day at this time, he was at home when he did it here, he was actually at work on his phone browsing, looks like around lunchtime. They can see all of that. They can build patterns off of that. Why does the government need care if you're buying ammunition? You have a fucking right to buy as much ammunition as you want. But if they feel need to look into you for that, or whatever other reason, they can and they will. So, also with the DNS servers, there was this big thing back in the Obama years about the kill switch. And basically what the kill switch was where, the government could take the internet down at any point. There were these two big schools of thought on the kill switch. You had one side over here saying, oh my god, the internet's going to come crumbling down, they're going to shut the internet off, Obama's got to shut the internet off, oh my god. And it was like mass panic for these people. Then you had this other set of people who were over here saying, no, that's not possible, the internet is not owned by any one person, even including the government. The government has no authority to do that, nor do they have the capability. Both of y'all are wrong, especially the latter. With these DNS servers, like I said, google.com doesn't mean shit to your computer. It wants the IP address, so it has to go to that DNS server or that phone book to get the address or the phone number. If you take that DNS server down, you can take the internet down. And to an extent, you can still go to Google by using the IP address. But if you have control over all of the ISPs, your internet service provider, and you shut their servers down, you're not connecting to another computer. You can connect to your intranet, what you call an intranet, INTRA, which is your network. But there's a bigger network known as the internet out there that you cannot connect to. And guess who has control over all these ISPs? The government. So we're talking about Obama and net neutrality.
Yeah, his net zero or whatever it was called.
Net neutrality.
Net neutrality. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
if all of the ISPs are in the government's pocket and under their control, they can shut the internet down.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a caveat to that. I'll get in a second. So what an internet service provider is AT&T, Cox, Xfinity, things like that. And basically, when you connect to the internet, you have your router, which then in turn communicates with, say, your modem or your ONT, which if you have fiber, you're going to have an ONT. and that's what allows you to connect to your ISP, like AT&T, their servers or whatever. From there, they're basically a gateway. They're a gatekeeper. They say, okay, you haven't paid your bill. We're closing the gates. You can't communicate outside of here. Okay, you paid your bill. Gates open. But the government says, hey, you need to close that gate. They're going to close the gate. Nobody's getting out. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah. Gabe mentioned a good point. And this is how a lot of people view that. If you want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna
So,
put it up there.
okay. Absolutely. And, that's the way I used to think too. But, like, as far as with the government, now so it depends on whose government it is at the time, right?
Oh yeah.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Back, not too long ago, um, I think we all had genuine concerns there for a while. All of us that voted for Trump, like we were going to get hunted down, you know, um, and the government had control and could see our house, our location, like
Here are
just from
conversations.
pictures, conversations,
Oh yeah.
everything. And, I see where you're coming from there because I used to think the same thing. But I also understand that like it's an American right, like to have privacy.
Oh yeah.
And it
Absolutely.
doesn't mean that you're doing anything wrong. It's kind of like your yard, in a way. It's like that's my yard. You know, Nobody needs to be on it that I don't want to allow on it.
Oh yeah.
Just
And I mean, how many people were scared? Like, oh my, Alexa's gonna hear me say "fuck Joe Biden," and they're gonna, come say I'm a terrorist or something. Even shit like
hmm
that. That's how I think. I'm like,
right,
I should be able to say whatever the fuck I want and not have to worry about Big Brother coming after me because I'm not speaking the fucking narrative. That's my
right,
problem with it. That and of course the
right,
privacy, I don't I you know, it's not just the government, it's even just people. I mean, I don't want people seeing pictures, of family and stuff like that. What if you have a baby and, you don't want that baby's pictures just being thrown out on the internet? There's weirdos out there. You want to keep
right.
that safe. You want to keep pictures of your children safe.
And I think Justo understands all that part.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
that's a good point that Justo brought up right there.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was a really
And
good
see,
point.
that's the thing. There's always that gray area that you have to meet because, what if there is there are sleeper cells and they're, communicating and plotting. Yeah, I mean, our military needs to be able to listen in and run surveillance and say, okay, these people are plotting to do, blow something up. We need to stop them. But yeah,
Right.
it's that gray area of, well, how do we make sure the government is giving us our privacy but can still enforce the law
Mm.
and protect us?
But
For me,
just
I think if we had control of the government again and they realized who the fuck they work for, this wouldn't be as big of a concern.
right. Justo made another great point. Um, People are willingly putting their lives online anyway, you know, and that's so true.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
so true. I mean, even us, like we're doing that. I mean, you can see my office, you can see his studio, like some of it. I don't know if y'all notice whenever I do videos, I'm always in a certain spot. I usually try not to go away from that spot. And there's a reason for that. Even though, yeah, I'm putting it all online anyway, you know, I see your point. And
Oh yeah.
me, okay, so whenever I have been on social media before, um, I had been on it until I don't know, when did we stop doing Facebook? Like, what was it, 2018 or
Somewhere
I
around
think it
there.
was
It was a while ago.
2018. We stopped doing Facebook. I barely did anything with my Instagram, or anything like that. And the only time I did it was for car sales because I used to sell cars. So anyway, whenever we were going into this and we were like, hey, we do want to do something. He's like, reaction channel, maybe doing something, just talking and helping people and stuff like this. I created a new Instagram for that and Facebook because my old one had my kids when they were kids and my family members. And that's why mine is so, you don't see any of that stuff on there. Because I knew that, yeah, they could probably find it anyway, whatever. But why am I going to make it easy for people?
Exactly.
So, but I get
And
what you're saying. You're bringing up great points, and I love that. So,
absolutely. And that's what's
mhm.
awesome is, all you guys in the chat, we can debate like this, you know, nobody's saying, "Hey, I'm right," like, yeah, let's debate it and let's talk about all the different perspectives of it because that's how we're going to find solutions to all this is people doing this,
Absolutely.
might not be us, but might be somebody on a fucking podcast just talking like, "Hey, you know what? That's a great idea. That would solve all the problems right there," but
Hmm.
if we can't talk about shit, we're never going to solve these problems. They're just going to keep
Right.
getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for the elderly because, you know, they don't
Yeah.
they don't know enough. They're more susceptible to the scams out there and all of that and
Right.
you know, but there is also these companies that take advantage of those people and charge them out the ass for something that they don't even need to pay for. Antivirus,
Hmm.
like spyware protection and stuff like that. And you gotta think some of these elderly people, they're on a fixed income.
Right.
They might be getting ripped off by their, retirement community, some, fuck is that place called in Better Call Saul? But,
I don't
some shit like
remember.
that going on.
Yeah.
They don't have enough money and they're gonna be blowing the rest because they're told, hey, this is the only way I can keep my social security number, my credit card numbers, safe. Like, man, stop taking advantage of people like that. We
Right.
shouldn't need to
Sandpiper
pay.
Crossing.
Yeah, yeah, Sandpiper. We shouldn't need to pay out the ass for privacy. We shouldn't need to pay out the ass for basic rights, is what I feel like.
Oh,
I don't
absolutely.
I don't feel like I shouldn't have to spend a bunch of money to fucking put all of these firewalls and all these protective measures in place for to know somebody's not going to rip off my credit card number, buying something online. Because it's as easy as that. You can buy something online, boom, somebody's got your credit card number and they're, or if you're filling out an application, something you put your social security number in, boom, somebody's got your social security number. It's that
Just
easy, man.
doing
That's your identity.
sassy. Just doing sassier than me right now. And I'm the one that's supposed to be the sass. Just doing. You're taking over my sass here.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Gabe's coming for your spot.
I know, right? I'm like, dang. It's freaking hilarious.
Oh, Georgia had a good question. What do I think of World War III?
We
I actually,
were,
we were just talking about this. I
yeah.
believe we are already in World War III. I think everybody who's concerned about this World War III is actually talking about four. Like, we're in it, man. It's a different breed of war. We're not, I mean, yeah, we've got soldiers out. We've got, soldiers, many different countries dying right now. But really, man, it's a mental war right now. They're trying to destroy our psyche and our drive, our will, everything. They want to break us down, and I think that's a worse war. I'd rather be out, on the battlefield than fighting some psychological shit like that.
So I'm going to throw
But
a little bit of the Bible in there with that to kind of back up what you're saying.
what's that?
Matthew 24, 6 through 8. And this is going to be the King James Version. Okay. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. And all these things are beginning of sorrows. So, I mean, I'm one of these, like, I grew up in church and I'm like still, yeah, I would love Jesus to come back, but I know there's going to be a whole lot of suffering in this world for a lot of innocent people. And I'm like, that's the part I'm not looking forward to. And if that is right now, I'm kind of not looking forward to that. But I will say that I'm glad at least my kids are older and they're growing, you know, and they're not little going through that if this is the time. If it's a lot of Christians right now are saying, oh, there. I mean, my son had mentioned one of his coworkers believed like she's a certain sect of Christianity, and she believed like the end of the world is coming, like doomsday is coming, and I'm not like that. I'm just going off of what I've seen from the Bible. Doesn't mean I'm right either. It's just my interpretation. But anyway, to back up what he said, wars, rumors of wars. This is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, and, you know, hell, the end of the world, might not be like, nuclear fallout necessarily. It might just be the end of the world as we know it. The birth of a world where we're done with this fucking shadow government. We're done with this fucking, you know, evil satanic worship bullshit that goes on fucking,
Right.
behind the scenes, all that, it could just be it
Okay. So
could be the heaven on earth.
we should totally do an end times podcast.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Because I've got some
Well,
more stuff to say on that. But anyway, go ahead.
can we throw in some zombies in there?
If you want.
Hey, I think the zombies are real, man. I do. Look at
Well,
the
there are
fucking
real
bath salts.
zombies.
Look at the bath salts, man. Tell me they ain't some
Mm-hmm.
fucking zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, man. Those are fucking.
I mean, and that goes back actually, like Lord knows how long, but the some of the more recently documented from a couple hundred years ago were dudes on sugar plantations, and they weren't
Interesting.
like eating brains or anything. They were just like they were just they were like robots.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't. I think the hunger for brains, like, eating brains, I think that's just Hollywood shit. I
Right.
think it's more of a metaphorical.
Hmm.
They're hungry for what they lack. They yearn for a brain because they're not thinking for themselves any longer. They are
Right.
robotic.
Georgia, you totally do have good ideas. I keep hearing something about end times. I also heard it growing up Baptist. Absolutely. It's like, yeah, good ideas about the end times. So, Georgia, you get kudos for that. Also, uh, my mom, she's like, man, I remember when I was a little girl, they were talking about the world was going to end too. So, I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Like, it doesn't mean that's going to happen in our generation, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean,
And
I
we
definitely
have,
feel like we're witnessing something biblical. It might not necessarily be the end
yeah,
times,
that's
but
what
it's
I
something
can't
biblical.
escape right now, and in a way I wanted to deny it because I'm like, oh, it's going to be so much suffering and there are going to be so many innocent people that get wrapped into that, and I hate anybody suffering, but anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. Definitely stoned. Hell yeah. It's the way to do it on Friday night. So, Keith, do you have any questions over anything we've gone over? Chat, do you guys have
No.
any questions or anything?
Well, I do have one question. So on your
Yeah.
phone, um, let's say, okay, so an iPhone already has Safari on it. What web browser would you use for your
I
phone
use
if on an iPhone?
I use Firefox personally. About to switch because they've been getting a little sketchy lately.
Hmm.
Um, they've kind of gotten too big for the britches, and have kind of started spreading out into a more corporate field, and they're starting to kind of have some issues, privacy issues. So
Yeah.
they've got their own cloud and everything, and there's some people saying that basically a lot of data that shouldn't be stored on the cloud is being stored on the cloud. And it's on the cloud, somebody else can access it. So
Right. Okay, another
and
question for you.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Let's say you have a Samsung, not an iPhone. What would you would also use Firefox for right now until
Yeah,
instead of Google?
yeah, I definitely wouldn't use Chrome because you know Google. I don't trust Google. They're owned by the the Alphabet company or something like that. Meta, they're in with Meta and all of that. I don't like any of that. That's all privacy invasive shit. So,
Right.
I would
As we
say,
sit there on our Instagram.
I know, right? Well, we're trying to reach people and, you know, share with that. I don't like
Help people.
using it, and that's why I really wish Rumble had a bigger community, to get the fuck
Yeah,
away
it's
from
hard to
YouTube because YouTube's a Google company.
just doing. Did y'all have a not as many viewers on there as well? It's really hard unless it's just
Yeah,
about politics
I
to get
forgot
any
about
views on
that.
there.
Yeah, you guys still doing the Rumble stream and all, or? But man, we really need to just knock YouTube down a few notches, man. Same with Meta.
Mhm.
TikTok, I fucking hate TikTok. God, I fucking hate TikTok.
I'm gonna I'm gonna play your little short.
There you go, do that.
I'm gonna do that. How
But
many of
yeah,
y'all have seen this video?
I
And
have
if
fun
you
doing
are an
that.
artist, you guys, and we have not done reactions, this is why. Getting a source to put this in here, and show a video or anything, it messes everything up completely.
Georgia, I'm down for that, man. Dude, Disney is a dark place, man. A dark place. But I'm totally down for that. I know Kitty is too.
Okay, y'all ready for it? Y'all want to hear Stonerman's thoughts
I was
on
pissed.
TikTok?
TikTok, so you wanted to remove my post or video, whatever the hell you call it, for a community violation because there was smoke in the picture. Not anyone actually smoking, just smoke. Oh my God, they said kids are going to be influenced to use tobacco products because there was smoke in the picture. I guess that means kids aren't allowed at a damn campfire no more, huh? Fucking TikTok. Oh, I dropped the F-bomb. Oh shit, he said bomb, 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 bomb. Let me go ahead and roll up some leaves in this paper. I'm going to ignite it, and then I will inhale it. So, is that community rights violation? I don't know. I guess TikTok's gonna tell me after this one, huh? Fucking everybody's so freaking sensitive. Oh my God, the kids! But yet nobody wants to do anything about the pedophiles. Oh my God, you got smoke in your picture. Oh
Right.
my God, you kids smoking cigarettes. Fuck you, TikTok.
That is
Oh
Stonerman's thoughts
shit.
about TikTok.
I fucking hate TikTok. Seriously, all I did, I was just blowing smoke out of my nose. I'm like, what's wrong with that? It wasn't like directly, like, I mean, the smoke was like in the camera. You couldn't like really even see it, but fucking, they got me. Fucking, wow.
Yeah, they totally did. It was stupid. Oh, that was stupid. Okay, so we answered the question about computer and phones as far as what um, what kind of browser to use. Now, what would you recommend? Would you recommend any malware, spyware, anything like that? or would you just do what you were talking about, unplugging the Ethernet?
Clam AV is the best antivirus that I have found personally. Anybody watching
Clam.
this, if you guys have a um, better suggestion, I'm all ears. Please drop it in the comments. But as far as malware, guys, the great thing about not using Windows or Mac OS, the chance and the risk you're at for viruses and malware and all that stuff are so much more slim. There are good softwares out there to protect you, but the thing about it is you're already so much safer because of how the operating system is built.
And
iPhones, sorry, go
that's
ahead,
if you have what now?
Linux or
Oh, okay.
any open source, but Linux is just they've been around for so long. The kernel itself, has just existed for so long that it's very solid. It's been built upon and perfected for so long. All these different flavors of Linux are based upon that kernel. So basically the
Right.
guts of it. Um, so like your iPhone, back in the day, the big thing about iPhones was, oh, it's so secure that not even the government can gain access to it. And there's this whole thing where government was upset we couldn't get into the people's phones, and there were these crimes being committed, and they could have been prevented if Apple just let them have access to their phones and all this shit. Well, majority of those crimes were either manufactured or had nothing to do with the phones. Like, okay, well, somebody can just use a fucking burner phone if they're that concerned. So, really don't need access to people's phones to stop a drug deal from happening. And somebody got shot during a drug deal. We could have prevented it if we knew, but he had access to the phone. But basically, the concept for iOS was they were going to layer everything. So, the part of the phone that ran like, the system memory and the internal time, which time is actually very fucking important to a computer. Um, but, stuff like that. The user end, where you actually interface with the phone was layered and isolated. So by isolating and segregating all these parts instead of the operating system all being one entity, it exists as all these pieces that collectively make up the operating system more or less. By isolating those, they could bottleneck where malicious code could have access to. So basically, instead of having 50 highways that enter a city and trying to look for one vehicle throughout 50 highways, you narrow it down to where there's only one highway. It's easier to manage, easier to keep a lookout and find one small little vehicle on a massive highway, right? Rather than many. More or less, that's an analogy of how it works. So, that was the big deal, and oh, it's so much safer, and it is. But the thing about like proprietary hardware, like an iPhone, is even the hardware is locked down. To write software, you have to know how the hardware communicates. If you don't know how the hardware communicates, you can't write software for it. That's why Androids are more for the people who want to modify stuff, because there's more information about how a Samsung phone works than there is an iPhone. With an iPhone, you have to break it down, reverse engineer it, figure out how it works, all that, and then write your software for it. That takes time. By the time that you do all that, there's already a new version out. People are fixated on that version. They want software for that version. So all your work was more or less waste of time because, people are moving on to the bigger phones. Your battery wears out, your screen gets burns in it, whatever the case may be. Hardware does wear down. There are cells within your flash memory that die and, no longer function anymore. All kinds of stuff. Hardware does break down and degrade. That's why we have to constantly buy these new phones because the hardware is degrading all the time. If we could keep the hardware from degrading, there wouldn't be a problem. There is something big coming called quantum computing. It is going to be an entire new world for like safety. You might even hear the term Web3 being tossed around. Um, a lot of crypto out there. I know crypto has a massively negative connotation, but like there's a lot of scamming going on with crypto. There's a lot of people ripping people off and all that. But crypto is the new currency, and it's yeah, it can be used for a lot of bad things. I feel like we're fixated on that too much. Take a look back to my old video. Tool or weapon. Anything in the world, anything in life can be used as a tool or a weapon. You can either do bad things with it, or you can do good things with it. We can do great things with crypto, with Web3, with quantum computing. We can be safer and more private. And I mean, you gotta even think about this on a larger scale. Like, China has access to our power plants, to our power grid, because of what we're talking about right now, but on a larger scale.
Right.
So, if you increase the scale, this could not only be, a fix for consumer privacy, but this could be corporate protection. This could be, protection
National
for our government.
protection.
Yeah, exactly. This
Yeah.
could protect our defense systems and shit like that. I mean, guys, you gotta think, our government's running Windows, the most unsecure but most popular piece of software that is out there in any country. That's what our government's using for its defense system. Think about that for a second and tell me that you have faith in Bill Gates enough to protect our fucking country. I'm gonna catch up on these real quick.
The only thing I have faith in Bill Gates for is for him pretty much going with any agenda of the WEF
Yep. And dude, I
and
firmly believe
depopulation.
he ripped fucking Steve Jobs off. Dude,
Mm,
Steve Jobs, from what I know about the guy, he was a fucking visionary, and he did care about the integrity of his products, his software, and everything.
mm.
There's actually a quote. Anybody who remembers like the old Mac OS, how it had the like in Windows you have like the X to close the window, to minimize or maximize the window, whatever. You always have the three buttons. Theirs were color coded. They were like a really shiny red, yellow, green, like a stoplight. And it was during like an interview or something, but they asked him like why he made it like so much more colorful, because old Windows was gray, it was bleak, and just kind of flat and didn't look very nice. He made his pop more, and it was more visually appealing. His quote was, "I wanted to make the buttons look so good that you wanted to eat them." Like, he took pride in everything he did. You could tell
Mm,
Windows was a shitty knockoff, because that's exactly what it was.
right.
Georgia, was the internet discovered or created? That depends on who you ask, I believe. Legend has it, the internet was created, as basically just a way to communicate, between a few computers, what we now call an intranet. It just expanded into something bigger. You would call that your wide area network. You might have heard of your LAN, LAN, that's your local area network. Started as a LAN, became a WAN. But I believe the concept of the internet has been around for a very long time. I
Hmm.
believe any advanced civilization that had any sort of what we would consider digital technology more than likely had an internet.
Absolutely.
I believe it was actually a quantum internet, like a quantum computing that we are trying to transition to right now.
Mm-hmm.
But what I always think about is, anybody who knows anything about, like the old transistor radios or even guitar amps. Everything at one point we used vacuum tubes for. Now we use transistors. At some point we discovered the transistor. And that was a game changer for everything. That was when we started basically following Moore's law. When it was basically that the amount of transistors in a central processing unit would, I think, double every 5 years. Can you look that up? Can you
Yeah,
Moore's law in
I,
HR?
I already got you. Moore's law is the observation that the number of transistors on a microchip doubles approximately every 2 years.
Yep.
This doubling effect has historically led to increased computing power, greater efficiency, and reduced costs for electronic devices. It's important to note that Moore's law is not a law of physics, but rather a trend observed in the semiconductor industry that has driven innovation for decades.
Yep. So, little fun fact: if anyone ever heard the saying, "There's a bug in the system," or yeah, there's a bug in the software, or whatever, bug in the code. That actually came from, I can't remember her name, but she was a computer scientist back when computers ran off of vacuum tubes, back when they would take up the whole fucking room to do simple math. But those vacuum tubes, a moth actually got in, and they were having some problem with the server, the system. They couldn't figure it out, and she discovered that a moth had gotten in there and gotten on one of the vacuum tubes, and it shorted out the vacuum tube. That's where the term. She's like, "There's a bug in the system," so that became just a common or a common, what do you call it?
You're such a nerd. I love you so much. You knew that.
I love you too. I am a fucking nerd. But see, you're a nerd too. We're just nerds in different areas.
Yes.
Absolutely. But my point to that with Georgia with the transistors is, where did we all of a sudden discover these transistors? Beautiful concept. It is a logic. It's a transistor is based on logic. It's, you have and, you have or, you have NAND. You see it in integrated circuits. You see it in, like computer software, coding, everything. There's always logic. If this, then that. That's more or less what a transistor is. If this, then that, or this and that, this or that. You can run them in series and make these logical circuits. And those logical circuits create devices where we can do all of this right here, talking to people on the YouTube.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Hell yeah. I
Totally.
like that. I like that.
He asked a good question. He said, well, he was making a statement. He said iPhone is supposed to be more advanced and safe than Android. I heard that it's not as much anymore. So that's what I put. But I would love to
No,
hear what you got to say on that.
none of them are. None of
Okay.
them are. And that's
Oh,
the thing.
Trump's coming
I
out
was
with a new
talking.
phone.
Yeah, Elon's supposed to be was supposed to be releasing his phone too.
Uh huh.
But that's the thing I was talking about with the hardware, that Apple locks down their hardware to where you can't even write software for it. Like, everyone's heard of jailbreaking and stuff like that. You can jailbreak your phone, but then again, you gotta trust that somebody knew enough about something that is a closely guarded secret to make it secure enough, as opposed to where they knew every individual working of every circuit in that device. There is something called a Libre phone, Libre. They actually they started out making single board computers. Have anybody ever heard of a Raspberry Pi? They're little
Yes.
$50 little circuit boards that you can plug in and watch, Cody, watch your movies on, whatever. But they actually made a couple phones and a tablet, and they actually have their own operating system, which I believe is actually a flavor of Linux that runs on it. There's Ubuntu has their own Linux called Ubuntu Mobile, I think it is. I think they also have one called Ubuntu Core. Um, but there's very few devices that they'll run on. I think actually they run on a lot of Motorola and LG phones, which not a whole lot of people have that anymore. But so there are phones you can buy that you can install your own operating systems, or you can tweak. And hell, some people just like to do it because they want that control. They want to be able to go in and say, hey, I want to be able to program my phone to control this little robot over here I built using some, couple breadboards and a, little single board computer. They just want to nerd out and do geek shit like that. Some people are like, hey, I want to be able to secure my phone and, know that I'm private. Some people, they want to write software on their phone or control a server farm or whatever, just they want to do things that the average consumer doesn't, and an iPhone is made for the average consumer, you know. I mean, look, you have to pay this fucking licensing fee just to write software for it, when damn near any other like operating system or device lets you write your own. Why
Mm,
in the fuck should you have to pay money, especially for a free app? I mean, think there are people paying licenses for a free app. Why do you think there's not any more free apps anymore? Has anyone noticed that?
right.
The majority of free apps are not really free. They almost
Mm,
all have in-app purchases if you look at it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can download it, it's free, but you may only get to use it 5 times until you have to get a monthly subscription or pay a one-time fee. Or hey, we're gonna
Right.
bombard you with so many ads that you can't even use it, and it's gonna piss you off so much that you're just gonna say fuck it and pay the subscription.
Right.
No, man. No, dude. I can go on my computer and I can download software to do just about anything. And if by some chance I can't, or if I just don't like the software, I can fucking write my own and do it my own way and know that it's done right. You know?
Mm,
So, I mean, it's just a matter of how much control do you want to have over your device, how knowledgeable you are, what your use case is, all of that. But there's solutions for everybody, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or an expert. There's solutions out there to where you can do stuff differently. I
mm-hmm.
mean, and like I said, with how private you are, guys, if you don't pay attention, at least know your basics. Anybody knows everything about you. Your data, if you're not being careful of even what you're signing up for. You ever wonder why you just start getting all these spam emails from stuff you don't even know? Like, hey, I've never even been to this website. Why am I getting, like fucking emails about sales?
Mm-hmm.
Because this, say, app over here that you signed up for had a clause in their privacy policy that said, hey, we will, you know, reserve the right to sell your information to a third party company. And boom,
Right.
and they're not doing it like, oh, they just have a partner company they sell to. No, man, there are groups that they sell this to, and those groups pass it out to other companies. What's up, Canada? What's going on, man?
Hey, Canada.
And, you know, everything from your pictures, you go and put some shit up on the cloud somewhere, look at the privacy policy. What do they reserve the right to do with the content? And you may say it's my content. Well, you just handed it over to somebody else.
So I have something to add to this.
Yeah.
Um, so in Oklahoma, you guys, House Bill 1275. If any of you are in Oklahoma, make sure you put that hashtag on here when you're done, babe. If any of y'all know about this bill. If you don't know about it, it's going to restrict social media access for minors and address data privacy concerns. The bill would prohibit social media companies from processing the personal information of minors if it poses a substantial harm or privacy risk.
Yep.
It would also require age verification for social media users and parental consent for those aged 16 and 17. That is very important because there was another bill that they were trying to pass where basically their data is shared. These are kids and they were going to share their data. So, anyway,
What's that house bill?
just
House
wanted,
bill.
it is 1275.
Heck yeah. And that's that's another aspect of it too. Guys, does anybody remember, like, say say a cereal commercial? Like, oh hey, look, we've got a toy for this new movie coming out or whatever, here go this website. What was the clause that you always heard on those commercials? Any kids product that had something to do with going online. What was the clause? Remember, ask your parents before going online. Ask your parents before going online. When do you hear that anymore? I mean, of course, I don't,
Never.
you know, I don't watch, kid channels, other than we got like the old fucking Looney Tunes on the local station we throw on sometimes just because fuck yeah, fucking Bugs Bunny is the shit. But, even then, usually it's like a late at night thing, so we don't really watch a whole lot of regular TV, so we're not hit with commercials and stuff. But I have seen a few here and there, and I haven't heard that. And what was the big deal? What was that? The Wicked and
Oh, yeah.
Georgia. I don't know. I know you kind of keep up with some of the shit with Disney. I don't know if you heard this one, man, but when the Wicked movie came out, they
Hmm.
had the toys, and the URL on the back of the toys actually went to a porn site.
Yep.
And they said, "Oh, it was an accident."
But
Motherfucker,
they
you're supposed to
kept them
pay
on
people.
the shelves for weeks with the
You
same URL
you're
address.
you're supposed to have motherfuckers that go in and check shit like this. You're paying people to make sure shit like this doesn't happen.
Hmm.
Tom and Jerry, fuck yeah, man, I love Tom and Jerry. Once they started
Right, yeah.
talking, I was out. What was it, like the 70s or whatever? I was out of that shit. Man, have you seen the new Tom and Jerry? Like, dude, they don't even show like any of the violence that made it funny. Like, I was watching one, it's like watching fucking censored, dude. It was like they were chasing each other and like went to like, hit him with a giant hammer, and all of a sudden the screen cut to black and you could just hear pow. What the fuck? We're teaching our kids violence. Hey, give your kids Grand Theft Auto, but don't let them watch old school Tom and Jerry. It's too violent. What the fuck?
Violence. Violence.
But anyway, what were we talking about, Kitty? Oh yeah, Wicked. Did you? I saw something about this a few weeks ago. They said that those were still on the shelves, and we read that article. What was that, months ago?
Hmm.
I don't think they're doing anything about it. I think they made a big stink. Probably paid to have a lot of that shit taken down, and it's still up. Why are you not fucking fixing that?
Exactly.
You've got
Exactly.
kids. How many fucking kids go to the store? And you don't see this here in Oklahoma unless you go to like Walmart because fucking Walmart.
Hmm.
But go to Walmart. How many fucking kids do you see with a fucking phone? And it might not be theirs, it might be their parents at least. But those parents aren't. I've seen so many parents. I go to people's houses, man, quite a bit for work. And I see kids sitting there by themselves on a phone, on a tablet.
Yeah.
Sometimes a whole fucking room of them. Parents not even fucking paying attention.
Hmm.
What are those kids doing? Like, what if they've got a Wicked toy and they got the box and they're going to that website and you're fucking clueless about it?
Yeah.
You know, like how do you make that safe? How do you keep that from happening? How do you keep, like, say Disney releases this shit, does nothing about it, doesn't even care. is there a way to protect the kids from going there and being, and seeing what stuff that they shouldn't be seeing?
Right. Absolutely. Flintstones. Heck yeah. Scooby-Doo Flintstones.
Oh,
Those are
dude, Scooby
Canada's
Doo is
us.
awesome.
Ruh-roh.
Dude, fucking Scrappy. Scrappy was
Mhm.
funny. Always wanted to fight.
Totally.
Alright, somebody out there, somebody talk to Woozy. Have him make a little Adam Calhoun and Scrappy Doo. With his little fists up. Come on, fight you.
Oh my
Actually,
gosh.
Canada, I think I've seen you make a few of those, man. See if you can make one of those.
That's funny. That would be hilarious.
Oh shit, wrong comment here. Target kids section. We did not stop there. Shop there. What about the Target
Yeah.
kids section? I mean, I know they targets liberals. Fuck, but what
Yeah, I don't know
was
if
that
that's
something in
something
particular?
new or if that's something that they're talking about. Like, I'm gonna be honest here, you guys. Like, I'm I mean, I'm right winged, whatever. I'm more libertarian, but I'm very conservative in my views. I voted for Trump, right? I have nothing against gay people, bi people. I'm even cool with transgender because what you do after you're 18, that's your choice. As long as you aren't going and twerking in front of little kids or trying to rub it in little kids' faces,
Or
I don't
trying to
care. That's
influence
your
people.
right. That's your business. Like, if that makes you happy, fine. Okay. But I'm going to tell you, if you're a predator and you come into a woman's bathroom where there is a child, I'm going to get charges.
Oh yeah.
So,
And
but yeah,
dude,
let us know what you're talking about, Georgia.
and there need to be like protection for women that do that.
Oh,
If
yeah.
a woman walks into a female bathroom and there's a man in there, whether there's a little kid in that bathroom or not, she should have a right to throw that motherfucker out and not have to worry about facing charges if it gets physical.
Right.
You
I
know?
mean, dude, I miss the old days back in the 90s, man. The trans, the trans people, that community, dude, you knew that they were men and they were going to the bathroom, but they didn't bother anybody. They minded their own business. They were just there to do their makeup, whatever it is they need to do, wash their hands and leave. And because some really sick people decided to mess it up for a whole group of people, that just makes me angry.
Oh, here it is. The coloring books in Target pushing the trans on kids. I have no problem with gay people. I have a few friends they hate this trans crap. And that's the thing, man.
That's the pushing, yeah. That's not
Where
okay.
where are the videos of all of that group of gay people who are like, hey, we stand with Trump. You don't see
Mm-hmm.
them. All you
Mm-hmm.
see are these motherfuckers, out there fucking saying Trump is evil and all this.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, those are the minority.
Yeah.
The majority of the traditional LGBT community are not down with this shit, man. They are not
Right.
fucking cool with it. They want to be gay and be happy and be left the fuck alone and live their
Exactly.
life. And they're like, you guys are fucking giving us a shitty name. And they
Mm-hmm.
are, man. How many people, how many of those extremists out there are seeing this and they think, okay, every gay guy is a fucking, pizza eater.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no. Like, some of them just want to be left alone, do their thing, and be happy, man.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, goodness. Anyway, we're getting way off topic. Okay, what else were you going to go over
Um,
with us stuff?
Georgia, he had a good point though. Also the TikTok influencers. Yes, yes. Um, I think what is it minimum age now to make a social media account is like 13. To me,
Mm-hmm.
that's too damn young.
Yeah, I
I
think so
think
too.
minimum age should be like 15, 16.
Right.
And I think it should be restricted social media, but to an extent, like. But I mean, high school level, you should be able to have social media. You're old enough to where you can, start kind of making some decisions like that and having more responsibility and stuff like that. But 13, that's too damn young, man. But there are some people that are making profiles for their kids that are younger than that. There's something wrong with that. Your
Yeah.
kid does not need to have a social media account when they're like 10 years old.
No.
Who,
No.
who are
And
they?
if they
Who,
say, "Oh, I hate you. All my friends have one. Good. I did my job. I'm protecting you. I don't care what you like or not."
and if all of their friends have social media, you probably got them in the wrong school. I'm just saying.
Yep. Hmm.
But that's one thing about Oklahoma is, clearing out the CRT bullshit, giving parents authority within the schools again. This is protecting our kids. I just know that there are a lot of
They're
school systems that are not lucky enough to have those rights.
right. And in Oklahoma, we're getting real big lashback. We are, you guys. There are a lot of people that are in the education system, even though like that's all being put to stop by Trump. But there are people that are still there fighting the people that are trying to make the positive changes according to what Trump wants. Our dude, Ryan, what's his last name?
Yeah, I can't remember. Let me look it up.
Walters,
Yeah,
maybe. Maybe.
I think it
Anyway,
is
our
Walters.
our dude, he's like a superintendent of, like he's high up in the board of education, but a lot of his views are the same views as Trump. He's backed up Trump. Anytime Trump wanted something, he's like, no, yeah, I'll do it, whatever you need, because he's trying to make our schools better,
Ryan
and
Walters, yeah.
he's tried to put Bibles in the classroom. And guess what, you guys? That shit didn't happen. Not yet. Because it got so much backlash. Because of all
And
these blue haired teachers and blue haired parents and whatever.
it was, if I remember correctly, it was denied. Then they pushed it through. They got it approved. They
Mm-hmm.
got it approved. But here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing: somebody bitched and said, "Well, you know what? He could have done it for cheaper. Look over here. He passed up a bid where this company could have supplied Bibles for like half the price or some shit like that."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, do you
Dirty
ever think
tactics.
do you ever think that maybe there's a reason he didn't go with that bidder? If that's the case,
Mm-hmm.
maybe there's a reason he didn't want to mess with that company. Maybe they weren't, on the up and up.
Right.
So, dude, and that's the thing with government, this lowest bidder shit. Guys, you get what you pay for. Even say you call a service technician to your house, guys, never go with the lowest bidder. Never go with the lowest bidder based upon the price. You go with whoever you believe is going to do the quality enough job to meet your standards. They may not have to be the best, top notch, but if they're meeting your quality standards, that's who you should go with. Like you get what you pay for. The lowest bidder, there's probably a reason they're the lowest bidder because they probably don't do great enough work and don't get enough business and they're parting. They're like, yeah, we'll do it for dirt cheap. Just give us some work,
Mm-hmm.
please. But anyway, fucked up world. But yeah, guys, as far as privacy online and everything, yes, I am always open for advice, guys. If you want to hit me up on IG, drop a comment. I'm always down to give some advice. But whether you're elderly or you're in your 20s, anywhere in between, just do your homework, man. Learn the basics of how these devices that you use work. I mean, I grew up with the the ideal of, you don't need to be driving a vehicle if you don't know how it works because what if it breaks down? What are you gonna do? You're gonna need to know how it works so you can fix it. I mean, I think a lot of people with a traditional upbringing were have that mindset instilled within them. No, you want a vehicle, you need to know how to fucking work on it and fix it, before you're responsible enough to own it and drive it. Same thing, I think that mindset should be applied to anything. Guys, I go to a lot of people's houses that don't know basic shit about preventative maintenance or upkeep with their home. Like, I mean, there have been grown men that are like, yeah, I don't even know how to paint my walls. Guys, what the fuck, man?
Wow.
Painting's not difficult. It's not like intensive. Like, dude, you don't have to be a handyman or anything to paint. What the fuck? They can't fix anything. They don't even have a toolbox. Or if they do, it's like one of those little Walmart fucking, like, you got a tiny little hammer and a screwdriver. Like, dude, what are you doing? What are you gonna accomplish with that? Where are your power tools? What the fuck? What are you gonna do if your fucking, roof collapses? Are you gonna be able to get up there and rebuild it? Dude, what are you gonna do if, you're fucking got a leaky sink? You're gonna call a fucking plumber because your sink's dripping. I don't know,
Right.
man. Like, do you ever think maybe looking at the seals, replacing the fucking faucet, looking under the sink if it's dripping down there? Okay, well, hey, this fitting's loose. They didn't dope the pipe. Maybe I should just fix that real quick. Let me run to the hardware store and pay $5. I'll get this fixed. No, I'm gonna pay a $200 service fee for a plumber to come out here and do that real quick for 5 fucking minutes.
Right. So those are the people in the apocalypse, guys, that would not survive very well or not for very long.
Oh yeah,
They are not apocalypse like type,
ready.
people.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and it. My point to that is, I don't believe you should be allowed to own a home unless you can at least do basic preventative maintenance. I'm not saying you gotta be a fucking framer and be able to build a whole addition necessarily, but at least know how to fix a leaky faucet. Running toilet. Know how to change out the float. Just basic shit, man. At least know that. Hey,
Hmm.
go. Light bulb burned out. Let me call an electrician. No, go fucking change the goddamn light bulb, you lazy motherfucker. You don't know how to do it? Fucking YouTube. YouTube, hey, how do I fix this? Guys, we have the World Wide Web of information in our pockets, and we still can't figure out how to do basic shit. I mean, dude, I've been at a customer's house doing basic day one shit while this lazy motherfucker sits on the couch and fucking plays video games. I'm like, dude, I like video games, but honestly, I enjoy fixing shit. I'd turn the video game off and I'd go fix this myself and be like, hell yeah, project day. I'm down.
Right.
What the fuck is wrong with this world? But anyway, my point to that, to own something, I feel like you should have at least a basic knowledge of it. That includes your phone. If you're a musician, do you a guitarist, do you restring your own guitar or do you pay for somebody to restring your guitar? I mean, you gotta at least know how to. You gotta know how to tune it. You gotta know how it works. Okay, the tuners adjust the tension of the string, which adjusts the neck and changes the pitch. I mean, how can you be a guitarist if you don't know how the fucking instrument works? Same thing, and like I said, I'm not saying anybody has to have a technological understanding of everything, but at least know the basics of how something works because that's your protection, man. You've got a lot of people have their lives out there, man, and people want to do harm to people because that's the way the world is. If you're a gun owner, gotta know how, field strip your gun and clean it and all that. Yes, Kitty's smiling because I've gotten on to her about learning how to field strip.
Okay. Okay. So there are not any ladies in the chat, but men in the chat, has your old lady ever accidentally left her gun, her piece?
Oh, there was one
home?
day Kitty left hers. I stripped it. I took a picture of it and I sent it to her. I said, "This is waiting for you when you get home."
Yeah.
You gotta figure out how to put it back together.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that anyway. But yeah, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I'm not the only one. It's because I get so ADD and I'm like packing and I'm getting stuff together and just looking back at my list because I have to make a list because I am so ADD and I forget like what if I don't make a list I'll forget stuff. So I'm going back and forth looking at my list, make sure didn't forget anything on my list. But I still ended up forgetting to put something on my list.
You need a list of things to remind you of what to put on your list. That's what you need. Yeah, Georgia, for sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, just message me, man, wherever you need. I'll try to make sure to be looking at my messages tomorrow, man. Blue collar
Blue
is a
collar
dying
is a dying
breed.
breed.
Who's gonna work after us? Dude, have you seen those robots that are pouring concrete now? That shit is insane. That is wow. Man, I got really sketched out a few months ago. I went to Lowe's and I discovered that they now make fiberglass rebar for half price of regular rebar. I don't know how I feel about that, man. All of our lumber is going to these composites and shit now, and Amazon is selling building materials. I mean, dude, you can buy building materials like off Amazon, like shopping online at Lowe's. I don't know. No, I'm good. I would rather go to a local lumber yard, man.
Well, baby, you think that's it? Is there anything else you wanted to mention on this?
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, guys, this is a topic we can dive into for hours upon hours and different details and things to learn, tips and tricks. But like I said, anybody watching this, if y'all have any questions, comments, whatever, drop them in the comments. I'll answer them. Might even, if we get enough of them, do a part two or something. Kind of got to touch on some of those, but yeah, we just like I said, guys, we're just out here trying to spread our knowledge. Knowledge is information. All that should be free. Too many people have withheld knowledge, and I don't. We don't believe that's right. We believe knowledge should be open for everybody. You know, I mean, how many of you guys have ever worked in a trade with an old timer and they act like knowledge of the trade is this top secret thing? They can't ever teach you everything because they have to stay better than you. No, man. A good, you know, person to learn a trade from is somebody who's going to teach you all of those tricks, man. Because, dude, there's going to come a time when those old timers aren't around anymore. Somebody has to pick up and carry on that knowledge, man. So we should spread that knowledge around, whether it's construction or technology or anything. History. Look how much history has been lost
Right.
because, you know, people stopped learning it. Books were burned. People who have lived through, a specific period of time are no longer around. They didn't share the stories. They didn't have offspring that to tell the stories to. But, we believe in spreading that knowledge, trying to lift up everybody in the world, give them, a path to a higher mind. We're not saying our path is right. We just here to give a different perspective and try to help people think outside the box, man. If we help, well, hell yeah, that's awesome. If we don't, tell us where we can do better, man. We're always open for ideas.
Absolutely.
We are be the first to say we don't fucking know it all.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah. Well, everybody in the chat, Georgia, we got Canada, Gabe, Carter, Stephanie, Jan. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody else. Thank y'all so much for dropping in. Any new viewers, thank y'all as well. And
Any of you
y'all have a
guys want to
great
come on
weekend.
our show, or you just have a topic you want to discuss, you have a business, um, you want us to go into your business, promote it a little bit, get with us on IG.
Heck yeah, absolutely. And Georgia, for sure, man. I love that Disney idea, dude. I think, Kitty, you had an idea for next week, didn't you? The one you wanted to do?
The end of the world, but we can do. That was the one I just thought of.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to do that one week after?
Whatever you want, baby.
Okay. Georgia, man, let us know if you can do next Friday, man. We'll do a Disney episode because there's some dark shit there, man. I'm all about exposing Disney, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Heck yeah. But yeah, just let us know when you can do it, man. If it's not next week, that's cool. We'll do another week, but just let us know.
Absolutely.
But all you guys, thank you all again for all your support, man. All the love you show us, guys. And we hope you all have a great weekend, man.
Absolutely. See y'all next time. Creek
Creek
Squad, motherfucker.
Squad.